necessary to the organizer of the workshop to inviting me to present my job here. Well, according to the complexity theory, yesterday morning we should be a chaotic community. Yesterday evening we perhaps were a more complex community, and just now we should be an ordered structure. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, just not to facilitate the framework to the theory, I'm going to begin my talk by the end, so this is just to make it more complex. Okay, well, anyway, I would like to present today some recent work that I'm carrying out at the company, at the Natural Language, where I am currently the Research and Development Director. And specifically, I would like to present to you some ideas and strategies in what should be called the knowledge and memory-based approach for the study of information flow in the context of spoken dialogue systems. Nevertheless, as I have said, I would like to begin by the end, just showing what should be the goal of a spoken dialogue system. What we want to obtain at the end. So I would like to begin with an example of a system working. I'm sorry for the non-Spanish speaking community, because this demo is in Spanish. I'll try to translate the example, but anyway, I think it's interesting to see a system working in the reality. This is a system that we have developed in the company to allow people to call airline company and ask for to consult the availability of flights and so on. This kind of common task in an airline company. So I hope that today the technology works well, and I'm going to simulate a phone conversation with the system. Yes, the first conversation is just to ask for the availability of a flight for, just say, tomorrow to fly from one city to another, and ask this kind of question. Okay? This is just to simulate. Sorry. I try to simulate a real conversation using a telephone directly. One moment.
Safari responde. Le atiende Pablo. Buenas noches. ¿En qué le puedo ayudar?
Well, the system has welcomed me. He has said, Safari is the name of the simulated company. Safari, welcome. How may I help you? Exactly. And now I'm going to, for instance, try to ask for a flight, just say from Seville to Paris tomorrow, for instance. Quiero volar desde Sevilla a París mañana.
De acuerdo, saliendo desde Sevilla y con destino a París, para el día 18 de junio. El primer vuelo que he encontrado parte a las 12 y llega a las 14:25. Ahora mismo quedan bastantes plazas libres. El precio es de 60 euros cada una. ¿Necesita realizar alguna otra gestión?
No, gracias.
De acuerdo. Buenas noches y muchas gracias.
Okay, I have asked for a flight from Seville to Paris tomorrow, and the system has informed me about the first flight available tomorrow. And I have just ended the conversation. Okay, this is just an example during the presentation. I'll show you several examples of the interaction. Nevertheless, I will begin now with the content of the talk. Okay, so in order to analyze, to implement this kind of systems, we have to concentrate on what is natural language, in fact, and how can we study natural language. Just to introduce the field of analysis of natural language, I would like to begin analyzing different metaphors that may be used to analyze what is the study of language. Then I will concentrate specifically on the field of computational linguistics, and from this general field I will analyze the specific computational architecture and computational problems that are underneath the development of a spoken dialogue system. And finally, I will present some original research in what we have called the memory-oriented approach to the informational flow of inside a spoken dialogue system. Okay. I think that the work by Winograd in 1983 is quite interesting to reflect what is the study of language from a general point of view. The key point is that in order to view the changes in a science, sometimes it may be useful to look at the sequence of metaphors on which it is built. In the case of natural language, the study of natural language, there can be different perspectives, different metaphors that have been raised during the history. Well, the first metaphor in the study of language is that of linguistics as a law. This is the idea of prescriptive grammar. In this case, language is considered as a form of human social behavior, and like all behavior, has been decided of legislation and control through history. In this case, the grammar is not the result of the analysis of a given phenomena, but the pure or correct model that prescribes the use of language from the very origin of linguistics. This was the predominant model of linguistics, perhaps to the mid-19th century. Okay, this metaphor has been rejected by all current theories of linguistics. By contrast, currently, a language is a naturally occurring phenomenon that changes over time and is defined by what people actually say, not what teachers or academies think they should say. This was a very important change of perspective in the history of the study of languages that occurred mainly in the mid-19th century. At this time, linguistics was influenced by the theory of evolution by Charles Darwin. Darwin, I think, he published his main work in 1859, perhaps. And you see this theory of evolution as a methodological reference and inspiration appear what was called comparative philology, which concentrated in the end of the 19th century on the study of similarities and differences between languages. There is a very interesting metaphor between the study of biology at this time and the study of classification of living beings, and the study of language as a kind of classification of real languages in the world, trying to obtain relationships between different languages and their evolution. So the goal in this case was to build a family tree of languages following the model of taxonomies of organisms developed by evolutionary biology. Of course, this is quite interesting because it created a complete trend of research that it continues even today and is concentrated on what's called comparative linguistics. Well, the work initially concentrated on sounds and words in order to facilitate the study of relations, similarities, and differences between languages. And as the goal was to obtain this desired global organization of all known languages, postulating, like in biology, intermediate common ancestors for this language. For instance, the Proto-Indo-European language as a main trunk that justifies or explains the evolution of different languages today. So linguistics in this case became a kind of field study closely connected to anthropology, in fact.